Hey, there's so many details in the Bible and so many dates, so much stuff, you can't remember it all, so much history, and you want to remember it, but you just can't. You get confused, and wow, when did that happen, and what's going on here, where does that fit? It's so confusing, or it can be, but I want to encourage you because there's 9 key dates, and if you remember these key dates, all the details kind of fit in between those things, and it gives you a really clear outline, and what will happen is you'll remember a ton of stuff. You'll remember so much more, so many more of those details and events, and you'll know kind of where they go in history and how it all plays out in the Bible. Now, I'm standing here at Hazor, this really old 5,000-year-old Canaanite city, and Israel defeated Hazor way back in the day, and I'm standing by this tower, and the reason I'm doing this little date teaching here by this tower is because that tower right there was built by the Israelite kingdom of the north in order to guard themselves against the invasion of the Assyrians. The Assyrians come and they destroy this city right here in 732, but they destroy the northern kingdom for good in 722, and that's one of the key dates. I'm going to list these dates for you and hopefully put them on a little graph for you, and then if you just remember these key dates, everything else will kind of fall into place, and I'll kind of give a little explanation at the end. You can turn this video off as soon as I give you the dates, but then I'll give you a little explanation. Okay, so the first date is 2166. That's the call of Abram. The second date, 1446 BC. That's the Israel Exodus from Egypt. The next date is King David's reign, starting in like 1011 BC, so right around 1000 BC. The next key date has to do with this tower. It's 722 BC. That's when the Assyrians destroy the Israelite kingdom of the north for good. The next key date is 586 BC. That's when the Babylonians destroy the kingdom of Judah in the south. And then you just have 500 years until you jump to the time of Jesus Christ, and we'll call for now the birth of Christ 5 BC, and I give an explanation in a different video about that year. So Jesus is born 5 BC, then Jesus' death in 30, and his resurrection in 30 AD, and then the last date, the destruction of the Jerusalem temple, the Jewish temple, in AD 70, which is not mentioned in the Bible, but that's one of the key dates you need to remember because everything else falls in place, including a lot of human history. So there you go, that's it. Now you can turn the video off, but let me just fill in why this works, why these 9 dates work. So number one, let's say you're going, man, I can't remember when the United Kingdom happened, the time of Saul and the time of Solomon, all that. You just remember 1000 BC, right? Because King David started reigning in 1011 BC, right about 1000 BC. And Saul was right before him, and Solomon was after him, and then those kings. And then you remember, you know, like the divided kingdom happens after that, where Judah and Israel split up. Well, then what happens? You know, then don't they go into exile? Yeah, they go into exile. The north is defeated in 722 by the Assyrians, and the south is defeated in 586. Those are 2 dates I gave you, and all those books of the Bible fit in that little time period. A lot of the prophets prophesying the destruction of these 2 kingdoms. Prophets like Jeremiah and a big chunk of Isaiah, and prophets like that, or the time of the exile. Man, when did Israel get exiled? Well, remember, 722, the north was destroyed, 586, the south was destroyed. So they were in Babylon after that. And so that's when Daniel happens, and later Esther happens, the book of Esther and Ezekiel. So you can remember even when the books of the Bible happened because of that. What about Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus? Well, Abraham's call happens in the book of Genesis, and that's right around, you know, 2100 BC. And so you only need a few key dates to really be able to put all the biblical or the Bible books kind of in a order that makes a lot of sense. I'll do another teaching later. You can dig for it. It's probably already up, about how the Bible is arranged. So that's it. 9 key dates.